Don't play the game called Sack of Knives. This one comes at us from Brandon Faircloth, or if you go by his Reddit name, Veristal. It's about a college student who takes a medieval literature class, and at first is pretty bored with it. He mentions not really following and not really getting it, mainly because the professor is so boring and lifeless. It just kind of drowns out everything. Well, one day he stumbles upon something called Sack of Knives. This piques his interest, and he sends an email to his professor asking to kind of elaborate more on that. Like, what's it about? Since he couldn't really make out what it was about, couldn't find anything on it. There was no footnotes or anything. Nothing would talk about whatever this sack of knives was. Well, he gets an email response from his professor, and it basically lays out a set of rules that a group of people would follow, and it was kind of like a game. At least that's how the email described it. Well, in true creepypasta fashion, this game is definitely not one you'd want to play. Our main character's friends start dying one by one in very different and bizarre situations, which, of course, freaks our main character out and causes him to get a hold of the professor. And this is where things really get good. The professor essentially lays out that it's not really rules to a game, and he also translates it, and it turns out it isn't Sack of Knives. At least that's not what it's called. That's just how our main character read it, because that's how it looked like it was spelled. But turns out this isn't a game, it's a ritual. A very ancient ritual that causes bad things to happen, in a nutshell. I don't want to give too much away, but this one phone call between our main character and the professor pretty much takes this story from what I thought was kind of just average to pretty good. And yeah, I guess that kind of gives away my opinion of this one. I do think this one's pretty good. I think that ending, that phone call, I think it cleverly ties everything together. This is definitely a creepypasta that is a little more traditional in the sense that it does kind of feel like a campfire story, or kind of like, like, oh, don't play this game kind of story. There's a very urban legend kind of feel to it, which I think is actually pretty cool for creepypasta stories. So yeah, I definitely recommend this one. Give this one a listen, or read it if you prefer. And yeah, I definitely think it's worth your time.